Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, learners, on this lovely Saturday day to our UCT Virtual Open Day. My name is Shamila Manie, and I am a lecturer at the Physiotherapy Department at UCT, and it's great to have you here today. So while we are waiting, I'd like you to interact with me today. And so in order for us to do that, you'll see now can you go to open a browser on your phone and then type in menti.com so that we can have some interaction between the two of us today. All of us, actually, not just the two of us. So while you're doing that, can I ask a question? So what word comes to mind when you think of physiotherapy? Maybe there are many words. This is the code for your Mentimeter. So it's 680-95849. So it's up there on your screen. You should be able to see it. And so the question really is, what word comes to mind when you think of physiotherapy? So what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it maybe masseuse? Hopefully not, because that is furthest from the truth. As soon as we have some responses to that, we will switch over to our moderator, Jill. Is there anything on our Mentimeter yet? So we're having some words haven't come in yet, but that's okay.
Not yet.
So what about, I always thought when I was a student, I thought physiotherapy, I was going to be, something like a nurse, and it ended up not being like a nurse at all. Lots of different things that you would be covering. Yes, that's great. So some people have said that you'd be helping people, maybe managing pain. Oh gosh, we hope we're not causing you any pain. Yes, that's nice to see the word recovery nice and large out there. Definitely something that we assist with as the physiotherapy goes on. Great stuff. So that's really wonderful. Yeah, physical improvement, movement, wonderful things. And I love seeing the word rehabilitation. So what am I going to tell you today? I'm going to tell you about the degree. Thanks so much, Jill, for sharing that. And we're going to go back to the areas in terms of what the physiotherapy degree offers. So there are 4 different areas specifically. One of them is cardiopulmonary rehabilitation, and that's where we assist patients that have respiratory and cardiac conditions, so heart conditions. And in the slide, you can see we are walking a patient in ICU that's on a ventilator. And as you know, physiotherapists have been at the forefront of the rehabilitation for our COVID patients during the pandemic. Another area that we have is that of pediatrics, and here we learn all about assisting children with sometimes with disabilities, but sometimes not with disabilities. They're just having an illness, and it's caused a slowing of their ability to move or to function or to do their normal development, and we assist with this. Another area that we look at, which most of you might be interested in, is a component called sports rehabilitation or neuromusculoskeletal disorders. Just a very long word to say that we look at clients that have neck pain, backache, knee injuries. When you're playing netball or basketball or softball, you might have an elbow or hand injury, and we assist and rehabilitate. Sports rehabilitation is but a small component, but it is included within the program. Then the last area that we look at is that of adult neurology. And this area covers really, I'm sure some of you may have family members or even a grandparent or a mom or a dad that may have unfortunately had a stroke. And we assist those kind of clients to mobilize again, walk again, and to be able to work at their best optimum function. So really, these are the 4 areas that you can look at when you are studying at UCT Physiotherapy Division. And so what are the career options, you may ask? Well, you could become the next physiotherapist for the Springboks. And the first female here, as you can see in the screen, is Renee Naylor. And you can see height is not a component to become a physiotherapist. But there are many other options. It's not just in sport. You can become a physiotherapist in a hospital, whether that be private hospital or government hospital. You could also assist in patients at a clinic setting, whether that be public. You can have your own private practice where patients can come in without a referral from a doctor and say, we've had this problem for a long time, please can you assist? We've got recurring headaches or back pain or neck pain, whatever the case may be. You could even work in schools, mainstream schools, or even specialized schools with children with special needs, and there you would assist with movement and function. You could even be someone like me. You can become an academic, a lecturer at one of the universities. Hopefully, if you're studying here, you'd come back and do some postgrad. And that's the last component that you could do in terms of career options. You could even become a researcher and assist in the knowledge building of the profession. So, next Mentimeter question that we have for you. Which qualities are important to be a physiotherapist? And so fastest fingers first, you'll have 3 options. There are some options here that you have to rank. And so we'll see what that goes. So hopefully a 6-pack isn't the most important quality to become a physiotherapist. So Jill, we're over to you again. Yes, so these are some of the important physiotherapy qualities, and I'm wondering where you guys would say what comes in first, what comes in second. Is it, a good sense of humor that you should have to be able to get through a program such as ours, or do you need to have ethical practice? So I see quite a few people are saying you definitely have to be professional, which is really great, and then to have compassion, yes, towards the clients that you will be treating. A sense of humor, I see, comes in third. I suppose as a student, you'll have to do that. Sometimes you'll have to deal with difficult things, and having a sense of humor is always a good thing. They do say laughter is the best medicine. So that's really great. So yes, physical strength is not something that really is right at the top of the ranking score. We teach you how to manage things, so even the shortest student will be able to lift and transfer a patient that is bigger than them. Thank you so much, Jill, for sharing that. And now we can go back to my screen. And so, what is it really does it take for you to be a student to succeed at UCT? And my word to you this year is to dream, not sit and daydream, but to be dedicated. When you get here, there's a lot of courses that make part of the program, and you'll need to be dedicated. You have to show some resilience or be resilient. What does that mean? It just means that when there's a bump in the road, you need to pick yourself up, see where you went wrong, and engage with us and see how we can assist. You need to be eager to learn new things, be exposed to new opportunities. We send our students both to urban and rural placements when they go onto the clinical platform, where they learn their clinical skills. You have to be adaptable, which means sometimes plans change, and you'll need to be able to adapt your plans according to not just the client that you're seeing, but also the environment and the circumstances. And lastly, you must be motivated throughout the program, because studying is not necessarily easy, but being motivated and being able to motivate your clients as well is really, really important. So hopefully my colleague, Mashina Kasa, who is a graduate from UCT, is with us now. And I'm going to ask her, I've already asked her some questions, and that is really what it is that made her decide to come to UCT. So let's cross over now to Machine.
Ms. Manie, I don't think our student has managed to make it yet. Would you like to ask those questions of your colleague, Jillian Ferguson?
Okay, what a pity. Okay, no problem. I'll go ahead. Jill, so you were a graduate of UCT yourself, and so tell me, what made you decide to come to UCT? And just tell us a little bit in terms of where you're from and what was your experience at UCT as a student?
Well, Shamila, that's quite a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go back a bit into my memory, my distant memory. So I came in as a UCT student in 1997, to study physiotherapy. I had applied to the University of the Western Cape, but I'll never forget that moment. I think that my Western Cape letter came first, and then the UCT letter followed, and it was a very, very exciting moment because it was a place that I always wanted to attend. I had a cousin who was studying at UCT as well, and so yeah, I was very happy to receive that letter. Yeah, and sort of why physiotherapy? I knew at high school, I guess, that I wanted to do something in the health profession. Medicine didn't quite appeal to me at that point. And so with our career guidance counselor, I explored sort of what other options there were, because yeah, I really love interacting with people and helping. I did volunteer work throughout my high school career, and so yeah, physiotherapy sounded like a wonderful option. And yeah, that is more than, gosh, I can't even say, probably more than 20 years ago. Yeah.
We'd never say from the pic on the screen at the moment, definitely not more than 20 years ago. And so tell me, Jillian, can you maybe tell us what was one of the highlights in the 4 years that you were at UCT as an undergrad student? What was your highlight?
Gosh, several highlights. I think for me, what stands out in particular in my first year, we got to help out as first year students at the August cycle tour. So, you know, there's this big cycle tour that happens in Cape Town every year, and as first years we did massage as a course, and by the time the cycle tour rolled around in about April, we all volunteered to assist and help out along the roads. And cyclists sort of crashed or fell down on the side of the road with terrible muscle aches and pains. We were there, and I think that's something that I really look back on with fond memories from my first year. And then also, of course, at the Two Oceans Marathon as well. And then in the later years, some other highlights that stand out for me was going on clinical rotations. I really just loved that exposure. In our second year, we went out in groups to different communities. First time I went to Khayelitsha to do educational talks. I was in Lotus River, and it was just so amazing again to be amongst communities. If I think of the Lotus River community where I grew up, close to that area, it was just nice to be able to interact with people from that community as a physiotherapist. And then, of course, in third and fourth year as well, I think my research projects were probably some of my big highlights. That was fun.
Oh, that's wonderful. We still do go out to quite a few of the Cape Flats communities, so that's really great. We go to Hanover Park. We are also in Khayelitsha and Athlone area, so we do still go. So that's really great to see, and we've grown in the areas that we go into the communities. Thank you so much. If you had to leave a thought in terms of why students should, learners listening today should join UCT and apply to UCT to do physiotherapy, because you know it is a competition in the Western Cape after all between ourselves and Stellenbosch as well. So why UCT?
I think UCT physiotherapy specifically has an amazing team. I think that you will find the lecturers in UCT physiotherapy to be caring, considerate. They really sort of develop very close relationships with their students, and I think that sort of stands out. We encourage our students to participate in community events. We get, we develop you as a whole. Yes, we will teach you the techniques of massage and teaching patients how to walk on crutches, but you get at UCT physiotherapy, I think you'll get far more than what you bargained for. You'll get an opportunity to, like I said, participate in community events, to raise funds for example, the Red Cross Children's Hospital. There's just so much you can develop holistically. Yeah, why else? I mean, it's a very beautiful campus, I must say. You've
For
got
sure.
the mountain in the background behind you.
Yes.
It's first choice.
For sure. Thank you so much, Jillian, for stepping
You're welcome.
in. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues with our graduate, Sheen Akasa, but we really appreciate you stepping in so quickly and assisting with that. So
You're welcome.
thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to go just back to let everybody probably wants to know. I'm just going to share my screen again. Everybody would want to know what the requirements are. And they are really, as you can see, it's coming up now. Apologies. Oh, there's some gremlins creeping in. So one slide back. So what are the criteria? Really, you need to have subject requirements, English 50%, mathematics 50%, physical science or life sciences 50%. And please remember, these are just the minimum requirements. We have lots of applicants, I think more than 2,000 applicants, and we have a limited amount of seats that we offer. So these requirements that you would be seeing now are only the minimum requirements. Obviously, you must try to aim to get the best scores there. And then the APS score is their minimum of 360. The higher, the better, obviously, to compete because it's very competitive. And then lastly, the national benchmark test. We're looking for an intermediate to a proficient range. I hope the talk has been informative and that you will all be scurrying to get to a laptop computer to do the online application and get your applications in as soon as possible. So back to me, I'm just checking in the questions, if there are any questions that we have unanswered.
Ms. Manie, I think perhaps you can do the question around biokinetics and physiotherapy, what the differences are and whether you're able to switch between the two.
So there are differences between the two programs. So currently the physiotherapy program looks at rehabilitation from acute and post-acute, and then also the rehabilitation. And usually biokinetics look at the final rehabilitative stage. There are courses that are similar, so there are quite a few in terms of anatomy and physiology that we'll probably will share. As you know, biokinetics will be provided, I think, in 2023, that's correct, as an undergraduate program. So there would be shared teaching likely to with regard to that. And with regard to changing between biokinetics and physiotherapy, in all cases, you know, there is a scope in place for students to transfer, but remember that amount of students, that applicants, there is really a small applicant compared to the bigger pool, and that would really be on what your standing is in that first year in terms of how well you've done with your program in terms of the first year courses that you've done. Are there any other questions that I should be answering? I see some of my colleagues have been answering, you know, the basic application questions. There is a link that's been posted for how to get to the applications. And yes, you do have to do pure maths. Unfortunately, in physiotherapy, you cannot apply if you are doing math literacy. I'm just scrolling.
And perhaps just about the size of the class, Ms. Manie?
Okay, so currently our current first years are just under 100 students, but on average we usually go between 60 and 70 students per class. And as we go into clinicals, we place these students across the clinical platform, as Ms. Jillian has already alluded to, and there we work the students in pairs. In classes, we have currently we have a blended approach of teaching, so a little bit of online, a little bit of practical work where you come in still face to face, and alternatively also there's some asynchronous, which is, you know, work that you'll be doing online but on your own. So we call that self-directed learning here at university. And So there's a whole combination of that. And then there'll also be opportunities for students to work in groups. In our third year, students do a research project, and then they are asked to choose a topic that is provided, and then they work within a group and do a research project between third and fourth year, which really is really great because it sparks your interest in terms of research. And that is some area that I think is growing at UCT in the physiotherapy department. We've got quite a few students coming back now, more so than before, coming back for postgraduate studies. So yes, so you first have to do the undergraduate degree, and then you'll do a postgraduate study in physiotherapy. Are there any other questions?
5 minutes left.
Okay, so we still have a few minutes left. I'll tell you a little bit about why I think you should be coming to UCT as well. I was not a UCT undergraduate student. I had to come the long route. You know, I applied and got rejected, but eventually I got back as a lecturer, and I actually became a postgraduate student at UCT. But I must agree with Ms. Professor Jillian in terms of, you know, UCT really has something special to offer. When you talk about a class that is 60 to 70, that's really small for a university if you think about it. So we get to know you by your name, whereas, you know, in bigger classes where you're 600, nobody knows whether you're not there, but we'll know when you're not there. We'll know when you're not feeling well, and we'll pick up on that. It's really a community where you learn to develop all the skills, not just in terms of physiotherapy skills, but hopefully your professional skills as well, in terms of how important it is and how to carry yourself as a health professional, because that is what you're going to be once you qualify as a physiotherapist from UCT. And really the areas that we expose you to is really good for the context in which we are teaching, in terms of you're not just going to tertiary hospitals, but you're going to places within the community. We also have an Eden district, what we call going to George, Oudtshoorn, where we place students, even Friedenberg and Mossel Bay. And that's a great experience for our final year students to be exposed to that. And they learn such a lot and grow and develop and see that they are able to work away from the big city as well and really grow. So yeah, I think UCT should be the place for you to go. And if you could see my pom-poms, little bit, you know, this is always weird with the virtual screens, but I'm rooting for you to apply to UCT, and I wish you all the best. Are there any other questions if we still have time to cover?
There was a great question around, does sporting ability influence your application?
Absolutely not. So I'm not sporty at all, and I should be. People always assume that if you're a physiotherapist, you have to be sporty. No, you don't. But we do encourage you to have a active and healthy lifestyle. So keeping fit and being able to walk up the hill from Barnard Fuller campus up to where we are situated in the old main building at Goedeskeer is something that you should be able to do. But definitely not a prerequisite, definitely, because I think then I wouldn't be here either.
But of course influences some of those amazing professionals that we have, such as our graduate who became the physiotherapist to the SA team. So
absolutely. No, you don't get me wrong. It is a thing to, you know, you need to be fit to be able to assist your clients and your participants and patients that you're going to have. So we do encourage you, but you don't have to have a six-pack, you know, but having a good physical ability to be able to assist your clients is obviously important, and more importantly for you to be physically healthy, because you are going to role model that to your clients.
Do you quickly want to... Shamila, do you quickly want to speak to the question of what a guaranteed acceptance is?
As far as I know, we have maybe Jillian, who is assists a little bit more. Could you just answer that question with regard to a guaranteed acceptance?
Sure, Shamila. Yeah, so guaranteed admission is for applicants who have a very high FPS point score. And for physiotherapy, that would be an FPS score of 730 or greater. And you calculate your FPS by adding your NBT score results to your top 6 NSC or matric subject score results. So 730 and above is a guaranteed admissions band. Right, I hope that answers the question. I see we have Sheen with us in the last minute. Welcome, Sheen. Shamila, I'm not sure if you just want to put one question to Sheen.
Sheen, unfortunately, there was some technical difficulty, so tell the students why they should come to UCT and no other university for physiotherapy. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, Mrs. Manie?
Yes, loud and clear. Quick.
Okay.
See, this is the flexibility and the adaptability, guys, that we were talking about. Quickly, what would you tell the students? Why should they come to UCT?
Because first of all, UCT is the best university in Africa. So that's reason enough for everyone to go to UCT. And most importantly, what I discovered is when when a post community service, when you go into, job hunting, they actually look at the university that you went to. And it's so interesting because I find that a lot of the time they prefer UCT students. I think it's also because of how credible UCT is and the fact that it's rated the #1 university in Africa. So, and also, I just to top that, I wanted to tell everyone how supportive the UCT structure is, especially with our physiotherapy department. I remember, obviously as a student, you do struggle here and there, obviously throughout your course. I just want to point out how much I received, and everyone else that I know that started the same year with me, how we received so much support from the department. So UCT has a very, very strong support system, especially within the departments, and I can only speak for the physio department.
Great stuff. Unfortunately, Sheen, we'll have to cut you there so that the students can go to the other sessions. So thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes.
And all the best with the rest of the sessions. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.